Could AI really be coming to take away all of our jobs? In this video, I'm going to explain some of the scariest things that I have ever heard about the future of AI, and they come from the man who literally invented the term AI safety. He believes that within just a few years, 99% of people watching this video will be unemployed. Not 10%, 99. No retraining, no plan B, no learn to code. According to him, there is literally no job for the majority of people. But he also revealed the only people that he believes are actually safe. And at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you exactly who they are. And, as well, give you my honest take on where I think he's absolutely right and where I think he's dead wrong in his opinions. Do me a favor, hit the like button, make sure that you are subscribed to this brand new channel where we'll be focusing on all things AI, finance, crypto, and the future so that you can prepare yourself correctly, and let's get into today's video. Now guys, whenever someone makes a claim as extreme as 99% unemployment, your first question should always be, who is saying this and why should I care? Why should I pay attention? So let's stack it up for you. Dr. Roman Yampolsky is a computer scientist, PhD. He's also a professor of computer science. And here's the thing to take note of. He didn't jump on the AI bandwagon 2 years ago when ChatGPT went viral. He's been working on this problem for over 15 years, and he is literally the man who coined the term AI safety. The field is, in a sense, named after his work. Now, he said this in a recent interview he gave on the Diary of a CEO, which I'll link down below if you want to go and check it out after this. But it's well over an hour, so if you want to have a summarized version, then make sure you keep watching this, because it's one of the most unsettling things that I've personally watched this year. And here's the details that got me. He started out by trying to prove that we can make AI safe. That was his mission. And after years of research, his conclusion was simply the opposite. In his words, he was convinced that we could make AI safe, and the more he looked into it, the more he realized it's not something that we can actually do.
First 5 years at least, I was working on solving this problem. I was convinced we can make this happen, we can make safe AI. And that was the goal. But the more I looked at it, the more I realized every single component of that equation is not something we can actually do.
The safety guy literally concluded that safety might be impossible. Sit with that thought for a second. So that's the source. Now let's get into the claim itself. Now guys, here's his core argument, step by step. And I want you to notice it's not actually science fiction, it's economics. Step 1, according to Yampolsky, and he's citing prediction markets and the CEOs of the top AI labs themselves, AGI, or Artificial General Intelligence, could arrive as early as 2027, literally next year. And that's AI that can basically do any cognitive task a human can do. Not a chatbot, a drop-in worker. Step 2. And this is the bit that turns from tech news into your problem. The moment that exists, every employer on Earth faces the same question. Why would I pay you a salary when I can get the same work over a 24/7 period from a $20 a month subscription? His words? Well, it makes no sense to hire humans for most jobs. Anything done on a computer gets automated first. Accounting, law, marketing, coding, design, analysis, everything behind a screen. Step 3. You might be thinking, fine, well, I'll do something with my hands. He thinks that humanoid robots are roughly 5 years behind the software. By his view, by about 2030, robots will have the dexterity to compete with humans at almost everything, even the plumbers guys. The last bastion falls.
So we probably will have humanoid robots with enough flexibility, dexterity to compete with humans in all domains, including plumbers.
And that lands you at his number. In his words, we're looking at levels of unemployment we've never seen before. We're not talking about 10%, but 99%. Now, why is this time different? Well, because every technology before this one was a tool. Fire, the wheel, the tractor, the spreadsheet. A tool automates a task, and humans move to the next task. But this invention is an inventor. It doesn't take one job, it takes the concept of the next job. He calls this the last invention we ever have to make. And if you think your job is the exception, this next part is for you. Now guys, the standard answer to automation for 200 years has been retrain. The loom takes your job. You work in a factory. The factory automates. You work in an office. There's always a next rung on the ladder. Watch what happened to the last 3 rungs in the last 3 years. 2 years ago, the advice to every artist, every writer, every driver was learn to code. Then AI learned to code and got better at it than most juniors. So the advice became, okay, become a prompt engineer. That's the job of the future, get a degree in it. Then AI became better at writing prompts for AI than any human. So now the advice is design AI agents. And Yampolsky's point is brutal. That's the one gone in a year or two as well. Every new rung you climb to, the machine climbs faster. In his words, if all jobs will be automated, then there is no plan B. You cannot retrain. And here's my favorite part of the whole interview: the psychology of it. He says he asks people in every profession and everyone believes their job is the special one. He asked his Uber driver, "Are you worried about self-driving cars?" And he said, "No, there's nobody on the streets like me." Meanwhile, Waymos with no driver in them are doing laps of the same city right now. The university professor tells him nobody can lecture like I do. Everybody is standing on the tracks insisting the train isn't real. So here's the question for you, and I genuinely want to know. What do you do for a living, and do you honestly think that it survives? Put your job in the comments. I read everyone and I'll tell you what I honestly think. Now guys, I promised you the safe list. Here's the version, and I warn you, it's quite short. According to Yampolsky, in a world of superintelligence, the only job that actually survives are the ones where humans specifically prefer another human. And I actually think the list is far bigger because of this than Yampolsky lets on. But not because the human is better, purely because of the preference itself. His example is Warren Buffett is never switching to an AI accountant. Old money likes traditional ways. Rich people will always pay for a human lawyer, a human advisor, a human artisan, the way people today pay extra for handmade when the machine-made version is objectively identical and probably better. But then he twists the knife. He says the market is tiny. His word for it, a fetish, a luxury preference, a rounding error next to the labor market that we already have today. So that's the safe list: human connections, human preference, human status symbols, and basically nothing else. But hold that thought, because this is exactly where I think he goes wrong, and I'll tell you why at the end. First, I need to show you the part of the interview that almost nobody is talking about, because they're asking the world's most pessimistic AI expert what he's doing with his own money, and his answer is the most interesting one in the entire interview. Now guys, think about this man's worldwide view for a second. He believes AI will be able to do everything, make everything, every product, every service, every skill, abundant and dirt cheap. In that world, what actually holds value? Well, follow his logic. If the price of gold goes high enough, we can make more gold. He literally says this: at the right price point, you can synthesize it, mine asteroids for it, whatever it takes. Think about it, diamonds used to be the rarest thing and super expensive, and now you can just go and buy a factory-made one for a fraction of the cost. Any commodities, any products, any services, if AI makes supply infinite, prices collapse towards zero for basically everything. There is exactly one asset that he says survives that logic: Bitcoin. In his words, it is the only scarce resource. Nothing else has scarcity. You cannot make more Bitcoin. 21 million coins, and that's the ceiling. The real number is lower because lost wallets and forgotten passwords mean it gets scarcer every single day.
It's the only scarce resource. Nothing else has scarcity. I can make as much gold as you want given a proper price point. You cannot make more Bitcoin.
So the man who is spending his life warning that AI destroys everything personally invests in the one thing whose supply no intelligence, human or artificial, can ever increase. And guys, if you've been watching my other channel, The House of Crypto, for a while, then you'll realize this instantly, because this is the same conclusion that we reached in that last video, from a completely different direction. The melting pot of money, $40 trillion in debt, the financial repression, the dollar side of the argument. Now the AI safety founder arrives at the same destination from the labor side. When labor becomes abundant and money keeps melting, scarcity is the only thing left to price. Different roads, same destination. Now guys, I promised you my honest take, where I agree with him and where I think he's dead wrong. So let's do it properly. First, where I think he's right and where I think it matters. One direction of travel is real. Jobs behind a screen are being disrupted right now. Today, faster than ever, governments, universities, and HR departments can update their policies. The part is not a prediction, it is already in the payroll data. And I myself am already using AI to replace staff that I've had in the past to run my channels, my other AI data business. 2. Just retrain. As the answer is mostly cope. The 3-year graveyard, learn to code, prompt engineer, agent design, that's actually happened. When the ladder itself is being automated, tell people to climb faster is not a really good plan. And 3, his money logic is airtight. In a world where intelligence gets cheaper and labor gets abundant, the premium flows to what cannot be reproduced, scarce assets. That is the single most important financial idea of this decade, and the fact that the biggest AI pessimist and I arrived there from the opposite direction, that should tell you something. Now, where I think he's absolutely wrong, the number and the clock. 99% by the early 2030s, I don't really buy it. And here's the thing, he gives us the reason. In the same interview, he admits capability is not deployment. Video phones existed in the 1970s, but nobody used them until the iPhone 40 years later. Technology existing and technology replacing you are two very different dates. Businesses move slowly, regulation moves slower, humans trust humans, economies adapt messily, painfully, but they've adapted every single time so far. And one more thing. Extreme precise predictions from any one expert deserve skepticism. That's not disrespect, that's just discipline. The consensus among economists is massive disruption, not the extinction of a workplace. But here's why none of that disagreement actually matters for you. I don't need him to be right. If he's 10% right, if it's not 99% unemployed but 19, then the conclusion for your money is still exactly the same. Which brings me to my safe list, the real ones, because I think he's asking the wrong questions. The people isn't which jobs are safe, it's which people are safe. And they're safe for 3 reasons. 1, they own assets, scarce assets, that AI makes more valuable, not less. And equity in the companies doing the automating. When the machine takes the salary, the owners keep the output. 2, they build with the machine instead of racing against it. The person using AI to do the work of 10 is not unemployed. They're a one-person company. And 3, they own trust, relationships, reputation, an audience, a name people believe. The one thing that gets more scarce as fakes get cheaper. So, the real divide coming isn't employment versus unemployment, it's owners versus wage earners. And the entire point of this channel is to make sure that you end up on the right side of that line. So let me bring it all home. The man who invented AI safeties says that 99% of jobs are going. There's no retraining out of it, and the only survivors are a tiny market of human preference luxuries. I say right direction, wrong magnitude, but it doesn't matter because either way, the answer is the same. Stop thinking like an employee, start thinking like an owner. Own scarce assets, use the machine, and build trust. I also think that if there is mass unemployment, it's going to lead to basic incomes having to be provided for everyone to be able to live life. And one of the positives that will come from that is that most people won't be stuck in the 9-to-5 jobs that they probably don't enjoy that much. Potentially, they're going to have a lot more free time on their hands. And what will they want to do with their free time? Well, different activities. And what kind of people do they want to do those activities with? Well, other people. They don't want to be taught by a robot in a cooking class. They want to be taught by some real person. And I think if you start thinking towards where those kind of interactions are important, that's where you can start to see an angle that might be a good opportunity. So let me know down below in the comments what you think will survive the next 10 years and how you're preparing for it. If you want a full breakdown of the scarce asset side, Bitcoin, the melting dollar, and the machinery that's quietly running underneath, then make sure you check out the last video on this channel. And if you want to learn more about crypto and how to research different altcoins and make the most of the opportunities within that market, then make sure you also subscribe to the House of Crypto. Do me a favor if you haven't already, hit the like button, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you very soon in another video. Have a great day. Bye-bye.